I'm gonna go for a little hike. I've got two hot tent traditions. The first is burning myself.
Good morning.
Cheers. First layer of ground insulation is Reflectix. Second layer of ground insulation is the Thermarest Z-Lite foam pad. Third and final layer of ground insulation is a big Agnes Rapide SL insulated inflatable pad. There we go. All right, the tent is all set up and I've got the wood processed and ready to go for a fire when I want it. I'm gonna go for a little hike, see if we can get over to the lake. It's hot. At the top of the hot tent here, we are very hot. About 115 degrees Fahrenheit up here at the top. Here, right around kind of hand level as I'm sitting down in the tent, about 70 degrees. Pretty perfect. Since I was a kid, I always liked my grilled cheese with chips and a pickle. And since I'm just a 37-year-old kid, that's what we're having. This is just some nice brioche with a white cheddar and Havarti. So one thing I always do when I'm in the hot tent is split some kindling at night to make sure I have it for the morning. That way I can start the stove from inside my sleeping bag. I don't run the stove overnight, so it's supposed to get down to maybe around 10 or 11 degrees Fahrenheit tonight. And so definitely gonna want to start that stove right when I wake up in the morning. And this will make it real easy to do. I've got two hot tent traditions. The first is burning myself. So I've got a burn here and a burn here and one over here too. And then the other is burning my stuff. So I dropped my balaclava, fleece balaclava on the stove a little bit ago and got a nice burn hole in it. The thing is, you can get pretty close to these stoves, but if something comes into contact with the steel of the stove, it is just gonna melt instantly. So it's just all part of the fun, right? Burns and damaged gear. It's part of the experience. Headed to bed soon. 14 degrees out with a wind chill of 0. I have a big Agnes Diamond Park 0 degree down sleeping bag here. Favorite sleeping bag of all time. This is gonna keep me toasty, even though it's gonna get down to about 10 degrees overnight. I will run this a little longer here. I'll load it pretty full right before I stop paying attention to it and drift off to sleep. That way it's warm in here as I'm falling asleep, and the sleeping bag will keep me warm overnight. And then again in the morning, got all our chopped kindling here ready to toss in there and make us comfortable again. We'll see you tomorrow.
Good morning. It's 9 degrees. I'm gonna start the fire. So thankfully, I remembered to put one of my water bottles in my sleeping bag last night, so I do have some liquid water. Breakfast is a camping classic: Spam, rice, and eggs. Don't knock it till you've tried it. Time for coffee. Cheers. Quick little tour around the inside of this tiny little hot tent. We've got our remaining wood pile over here. The stove, obviously. This is a Winnerwell Nomad large view. So named because of the glass window over here. Got my stuff bins here, and then we have an inner tent here with the sleep system, and that's it. This is a tiny little tent. It is a Luxe MiniPeakXL, really better situated for a small size stove, which is what I previously had, a little titanium stove that you assemble. This is a one piece, meaning you don't assemble it, stainless steel stove. It worked fantastically, but just in terms of getting around in the tent and also in terms of the heat it puts off, it's very clearly too large for this tent. But I wanted to try it out before I upgrade to a larger tent. Definitely want one I can stand up in, have a chair in. Right now I'm just kind of sitting on my sleep system. So definitely want a hot tent with a little bit more room, but I will keep the Luxe tent, and I will keep the titanium stove for things like backpacking, hot tent trips. But the initial run of the Winnerwell stove went great. I loved it. Here's where the stove was. Melted a lot of snow. Wood pile right here, and the sleep system was right here, so you can tell that it did insulate me well from the ground and that this isn't melted. All right, that's it for this trip. Thanks so much for watching. Simple overnighter in the hot tent. Always a good time. We'll be back at it soon. See you next time.